All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a fresh video by Gotcha Smack on the table over here, and looks like it's a bit of a critique piece about Wuthering Waves. And this one's about Echo gameplay and why it sucks. And I'm imagining a couple of solutions, a couple of alternatives, maybe some ideal implementations that he has in mind to make it better. And I've had my personal thoughts on how the system works. I'm excited to hear what it's actually going to be focused on. Let's go ahead. Let's get right on into it.
Welcome back to another video by yours truly, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk to you guys today about why I think the Echo gameplay experience in Wuthering Waves is incredibly lackluster. And I want to talk about the exact issues that I have with it, and then I want to provide precise solutions to improve it for the betterment of the combat experience.
Okay.
So this is yet again another video for the WuWa community to prove they can in fact accept some criticism.
Bro's been keeping up. Bro's been keeping up with 7 out of 10, hasn't he? Bro's been keeping up with the genocide issue, hasn't he? I see that shit-eating grin on your face. I see it, buddy. Okay, I respect it. I respect it.
One of the things that came to my mind was actually when I was watching Azir Permilia and I was looking at their Pokemon, if you will.
I've seen this exact gameplay as well. I think I know exactly what he's talking about.
Do their special abilities. And one thing that became very clear to me is that the Pokemon was casting its special,
like right here. I like this
ability, and it was doing more damage than the characters themselves. And I think that's something that's very important when you're using an external entity that isn't the character, because this gives a certain presence and impact to the move that you're casting. Apart from the special effects, the visualization, and the impact of the move, which
I just would be a little bit wary about the whole impact piece. It could be that like the pets are really well geared and then the characters have like dog shit equipment. That could also be a possibility as well from the gameplay. So like, I guess like damage types, how much it hits, damage relative to characters. I guess I'm just not like 100% certain on that. So that's just some food for thought.
Are all very important variables too to feeling like a good move to cast. It's important that the damage is high enough for you to be like, damn, I can't wait to use that ability again. And that is one thing in WuWa that just, I mean, bro, I'm gonna be honest, all the echoes hit like wet noodles. And I feel like as the game has progressed, you know, we've gotten stronger, right? We got people hitting 200K now, 300K now, 150K like multiple times. And the echoes are hitting for like 25K, man. It's like, bro, what is this damage? Now, don't get me wrong. The inherent traits that are attached to the echoes most certainly increase your DPS with your rotations, right? Like resonance, liberation, infusion damage bonus increase just by merely having this echo in your main slot or by casting the ability. But that's just not enough.
The implementation that he's talking about, it makes sense. And the thing is it's kind of sort of in the game right now. It's just kind of like in the baby steps of its implementation, where Frolova's Hecate Echo on the Lost Dreams set, it actually kind of nukes because she has all of those passive echo skill damage bonuses. She has all of those passive effects that are kicking in. She gets upwards of up to like maybe close to 100% echo skill damage. Then you get her signature as well, and that sort of accentuates it further. And that's kind of like the one team or like the one archetype where the echo skills actually do deal meaningful damage, which is, I guess, it's not necessarily a solution to like across the entire game, but it is an archetype that is developing in WuWa.
It feels like an extra button to press in my rotation when I feel like it should be a reward or something I'm looking forward to casting as a special ability. That should be the that should be the main goal of casting an echo ability. It should be like, oh, I can't wait to cast that ability again. Nobody is saying this in their head. No, except some rotation nerd that thinks that just because he successfully pulled off the rotation perfectly, that was good. I'm sorry, but that shouldn't be the case. Don't get me wrong, I want to master rotations too, but I want my echo ability to actually feel fun to use, not just feel like an extra little button to press. And that is where we're at right now.
That damage is pretty dog piss, though. I will be real with you.
Now in Wuthering Waves. And one reason
Hecate does way more than that with Frolova.
Then once again, is because the damage is very low. So I think solution number one I think all echo abilities need a buff in damage. I do. I think they need to be way higher. I'm not talking ×2. I'm talking about like ×3 higher. If you have to extend the cooldown on them, sure, go for it. But I want to look forward to casting it. You know, when I do the super move in Street Fighter, super move from the Wuthering Waves characters themselves, it's fun to cast because the payoff is high. The payoff isn't high with echo abilities.
I don't think there's necessarily a issue with the solution. It simply has to be a bit more balanced over here. From the perspective of, hey, if every single echo skill ends up dealing 3, 4, 5, 6 times more damage, then something will probably have to happen to like scaling in like certain modes, unless they just want everybody to clear faster at a baseline. And like buffing echo skills in the back end is not necessarily like a crazy thing either, because they're like literally free. Like they're literally free to like grind. And so buffing, like it's like buffing an old artifact set in Genshin. They do it all the time. Nobody really cares or complains. But I guess it's just really a matter of like, that's just raising damage everywhere in the game. And as long as adjustments based off of that increased damage make sense, I don't necessarily see an issue with it, right? It's just getting the dopamine hit of getting a bigger number and making these abilities feel more satisfying to use.
Because their damage sucks. So that's number one. Now, before we move on to number two, this is an interesting one because I think Wuthering Waves has actually done a pretty good job with visualizations and special effects of some of these moves, but they're not quite super move quality. You know what I mean? And I think I look forward to using my Changli ult all the time. The Brant ult, I ain't gonna lie, Brant's ult's kind of mid. Brant would be a good example of ult doesn't feel powerful enough. Lupa ult feels...
Well, that's the thing, because Brant's anchor is actually more powerful than his ultimate and feels more powerful than his ultimate. Yeah, Brant's ult is around giving him a buff so that his anchor is more powerful. And I'm not gonna lie, the anchor hit is definitely meant to be like the cornerstone of Brant's kit. And I look way more forward to seeing his anchor drop than ever using his liberation. And similarly, right? I don't really give a fuck about Changli's forte because it deals like literally a third of the damage that her liberation does, right? And her forte is kind of like a bigger move. I like her liberation more.
Good, but I would say her enhanced forte ability feels better. That's kind of what I'm referencing with echo abilities. I think they need to ramp up the impact and visual like presentation of these moves too, and it'll feel more satisfying to pull off. Now, I don't know if they ever will like allocate budget towards these things. These are just...
I would say the impact of some of the echoes actually do look pretty solid. Like I think Lupa's echo skill looks amazing. Brant's has like a whole like field, like fire raining down from the sky stuff. I think a lot of them visually actually do look quite good.
Just merely criticisms I'm providing in terms of the experience I've had playing the game.
Okay, like some of them are dog ass, right?
Which kind of leads me into number two. The number two reason why echo gameplay sucks is because there just isn't a lot of options, man. Everybody's using the exact same fucking echoes to play their rotations. And we all know it. It's only the 4 costs with very, very, very minuscule exceptions to 3 cost echoes being viable. But imagine how much more fun it would be to guide make and to contribute to guide making as a community if so many more, like the 1 cost in abundance, the 3 costs in abundance, have these little quirky details inside of their kits that enable you to equip them in the main slot for...
I think the solution to this is quite simple. You have an echo that's the main slot, and then you have an echo that's for passive bonuses. And you can have the echo be the main slot and then also the passive bonus, but you can have the passive bonus of a 4 cost and then the active skill of any other echo that you want. I think that that's a pretty elegant solution to what's going on over here. And then you just add more trade-offs, right, to some of the echo skills where the 1 costs are a bit more focused on either like CC, their summons, yeah, like they have some unique stuff to it, while the other ones are more raw damage focused, right? But you still get the passive bonuses regardless.
Good rotational damage or fun and shit. But there's not really much of that. You'll see every now and then some like negative edger like EO doing some combo on, never ending in the wild on some fucking mob, you know? They haven't hit the floor in 20 seconds and shit. And like, that's fun and all, but you can't apply that to like the in-game modes and shit.
Dry's just taking shots at everyone right now.
It would be so cool though if you had one
Jesus Christ.
cost and 3 costs doing things that could rival the 4 costs in potency or efficacy in terms of performance for the community and guide makers to cook and share the path.
I agree with everything he's saying, by the way. I've said before numerous times that Wuthering Waves and its development of like 1 cost echo skills and the coding of them is one of like the worst uses of potential I've seen. Because pretty much every single 1 cost that they add literally does not get used ever. And so in a sense, it's sort of like wasted development time coding all these things in. And then, you know, the solution really is as simple as let people choose the passive and the active skill, and then they can like experiment around with more builds and just try more stuff. It gives more combat options and then doesn't, you know, it just adds more variety to the system, more replayability and more, you know, fun little video ideas. It's just good overall for the game. And as long as the system lets you do whatever you're doing right now, there's no issue.
Oh, look what I found. I discovered that the freaking, the little Drake, he can like hold the fire on them. And if you do it long enough, well, it drops their fire element resistance, enabling you to do more damage. I don't know. There's sky's the limit. This is something that's incredibly lackluster, though, in Wuthering Waves, and it's all because there's not a lot of things to choose from for you to cook with your teams.
Yep.
So solution number 2 is, I think we need a bit of a rework in descriptions, and this will be a massive project on all echoes, man. Like, I'm sorry. I know that's a big project. Maybe hire another team. You do got 10 Cent behind you, brother. They worth $350 billion. Hire a whole nother team to just kind of go through. And obviously you're going to need to do the multipliers, and you're going to have your mathematicians figure that shit out and provide more variety. And I think the ecosystem from the gameplay experience will improve dramatically just from doing that alone. But on another note, I think the echo,
it is a pretty big undertaking, what he's suggesting. And I think that this might actually be a project that they're on right now, right? Because at the end of the day, I think what Gotcha Smack is suggesting and what he's describing is kind of like the definition of a nice to have, right? I think I would call it a nice to have from the perspective of if it's added to the game, it would be awesome, but it's not like a top line priority necessarily that like, oh, this should be prioritized over the main event of the patch, right? Or this should be prioritized over like the main story quest of like a patch, right? It's kind of like something that I feel like would exist on a back burner. And if the system is functional, this is a way to make it better, but it does require a lot of work to get it to that point, right? And so I guess it's like, it genuinely is like a bit of a struggle over here, right? Because you see something that like operates, it does the job, but it could be a lot better with like a bit of work. But what is like that, what is that juice to squeeze ratio, right? How much additional utility and benefit are we getting for the work that's being put in? And I think it's always just a sort of like a, you know, like a matrix that these companies are running to see like what's on the priority list. And this stuff is great. It's just, gosh, I wish I just knew what else was on the priority list to see, you know, what else is getting to see what else is coming out kind of instead, right? What's taking more resources. But honestly, when you like think about it, this might be something that's coming up soon. And this might be why we have so much like echo skill support happening right now in WuWa with like Frolova, the new Law of Harmony set, Galbrena, who has an echo built into her kit that talks to her, stuff like that.
those need to almost have an ultimate meter too. I think cooldown is fine, but imagine if you had an ultimate meter and you cast this echo ability.
I think it basically just means Carlotta's echo skill, where its cooldown refreshes immediately and it gains an enhanced version if you like charge up certain parts of her kit. Like you use her liberation enough times, it like changes her echo skill.
I feel like this game is more of a cinema gameplay experience than it is a sweaty experience. It's very satisfying when you see somebody do some rotations, get some perfect parries off, perfect dodges, and they do their little flamboyant moves. It's cinematic, and it's actually a joy to watch. It's a spectacle to watch as a spectator. If you fill up the echo meters as like ultimate casting, in the middle of rotations, they do their cinematic move, and you go back to cooking, right? You slow down time a little bit, and then you go back to cooking. I don't know, man. That's something, and this might be a hot take, and this is where I'm like, not so much criticism, more so personal opinion. This is where I feel like I like Zenless Zone Zero's cinematic intro in shit, what they do with their characters. I like when I see a character come in and do some really cool move that is invincible and you can't do anything about it, because it gives value and treasure to that performance, if that makes sense. I think in Wuthering Waves, giving
He's probably talking about like the parry.
these echoes of
Or the chain attack.
brief moment of an invulnerable frame, it would add value to the overall experience of the combat. That is a hot take. I think it is, because I also understand the gravity of doing something like that.
They give you 50% damage reduction while you're transformed into an echo. And so the end result is that it's actually really hard to like die or even get staggered during an echo. I think you literally can't get staggered during an echo skill. I think you actually gain permanent hyper armor, and you have 50% damage reduction. And so I do think like what he's talking about is like sort of there, but I guess he's talking about just making it a full iframe, which functionally, if you have a healer on your team or any sustain, having an echo skill active is like basically an iframe.
In a game like this, where like hologram fights are super intense, and you not being invincible adds to that intensity. That's a very important element. So it would be a risk to do what I'm requesting at that particular moment.
I can see in like Div 6 against certain moves it being a little bit cheesy, but honestly, with the hologram, with the damage reduction, you can survive most Div 6 attacks, except like the telegraphed one-shot ones with the echo damage reduction.
But I think the payoff in terms of the person playing the game is going to be more in.
And I don't think it's that big of a deal when you gain iframes during your ultimate anyways in this game. Like, you can use your liberation in a similar way to just dodge one-shot moves. That's, except Gion's, right? You can use your liberation in that exact way for many of the situations that he's talking about. So it would just be like more of that. But I do see where the hesitation could be to giving people two ways to access that in their kit.
Enjoyable, as opposed to what's happening right now with just like casting fucking echo. Right now, it's like throwing the dice when you cast the echo in a hologram fight. You know what I mean? It's like, if I cast this echo right now, it'll be perfect rotation, but I still might get my fucking head knocked off. And so I don't even want to cast the echo. You know what? Fuck casting that echo. It's like the fights are so reactive anyways that
Parry with the echo.
right now, taking the echo and making him vulnerable, it's like, who cares?
To be fair, though, as a counterpoint to what he's saying, you can, in a way, time your echo to be invulnerable. It's to use it to parry. And the thing is that there would be a lot less inherent satisfaction. I think there would be a lot less satisfaction if echoes did actually make you invulnerable and then you did hit a parry. Because it kind of like the added risk of getting hit and potentially taking damage and then using that move that has a long animation time or whatever to parry is kind of like a spectacle on its own, right?
No, it's just a little brief moment, and it's going to be fun and cool and cinematic. I don't know.
We both presented arguments for how it could be cinematic when you do have the iframes, and also when it's cinematic when you don't have the iframes. And again, I respect the fact that this is more of like his personal hot take, because like we both said, right? It can go in like both directions. I'm kind of just like arguing both sides here. I don't really have a strong opinion on it.
One there, apart from the other criticisms that I think are extremely valid, that one there's definitely a bit of a personal like preference, just to see if it would work or not. Maybe you throw it in an event, see if it's cool, see if the community likes it. And if they don't, fuck that then, you know? But right now, I just feel like the ecosystem is incredibly lackluster. I don't like using my echoes. Every time I use Brant's fucking dragon to go in the air, I don't care if I can cancel out of it. It doesn't feel good, man. I just feel like I'm forcing it into my rotation.
Gotcha, Smack. I have a solution for you, my friend. Here's a way to use Brant's echo skill that's actually super usable, super fun, and you're probably gonna get some mileage out of it. I got you, buddy. Don't worry. Brother Smack, this is what we gotta do when we're on Brant, and we want to use the echo skill stylishly. You go over here, right? You go into that third basic, and then you actually cancel that with your echo skill. And then you'll like transform, you'll fly out into the air, and then be able to follow up with your third basic again. Like this. Like that. and the fire's falling down, and then you're like also just continuing your air attacks. And you kind of generate your forte kind of fast from that attack too. That's how I do it. That is how I do it every time. That's just my little tip if you want to like have fun with Brand's Echo skill. I've actually had a lot more satisfaction using it that way. So yeah, just a little tip.
The same thing with the only echoes that feel fun are the ones you can cast and continue hacking off. Like
he didn't know. Hey, I think that means that he didn't know. Because you kind of are casting it and then hacking off.
Lupa's Arsenosa. You cast that shit, axe comes down, you can continue popping off. The other echoes, though, like you cast, even if you can cancel them out and swap over, that shit still feels trash, bro. It really does. And then you see that 7k damage, and I'm like, oh my god, bro. Like, Chang Li, when I cast a Ghost Rider, he jumps in the air and slams down for 25k. Even though I successfully swap backed it, it feels so booty, bro. I was like, man, what is the point of this? But yeah, to summarize it up, increase the...
Here's a tip, Smack. You know how Chang Li, when she intro skills in, she comes up in the air? Try this out. Isn't that faster than a regular plunge? That's faster than a regular plunge, right? That can cause you to reach the ground to do whatever you need a little bit faster. And this is another thing, right? Let's charge up the intro skill again. You know how Chang Li's air true sight actually deals less damage than a ground one? Her air true sight deals less damage, right? I actually like that one's a plunge because you can do some unique stuff in your kit with it, especially because Chang Li has those interactions between like air and ground, faster animation, stuff like that. Just so you know,
damage drastically, improve the presence of the echoes when they're on the ability. I mean, when they're on the field casting their abilities, and add more variety to echo builds. You know, make these 1 cost and 3 costs better in abundance so that we have so many more ways to cook up rotations between the 3-man system that we have going on. And then the hot take is maybe give the echoes a ultimate meter so that when they cast their shit, it rivals the presence and impact of the ultimates you use on your current resonators. And there's probably an invulnerability frame, if only for a brief moment, just to see that cinematic shit and go back to cooking.
I think the biggest priority that I would think about right now, if I were to think about all the stuff that he just said, it would be the passive active skill delineation, where, again, you can choose an echo to be in both the passive and the active slot, or you choose one echo to be in the passive slot, one to be in the active slot. I would like to see that one first, and then see the system kind of built out from there, because I think that's the lowest budget, most reward sort of change. And then you kind of like build on the system over time and, you know, kind of like go from there. But yeah, the suggestions that he's talking about, I don't think they're necessarily bad, but you would need to see like kind of like what the implementation is looking like, what the balancing impacts are. And I think that the whole passive active thing is like the first step to instituting kind of like everything else. But yeah, overall, great vid. Great ideas. I like the way that he's approached this issue. And, you know, obviously, even when it's coming to, like, the more controversial stuff, right? Or the stuff that people could be more disagreeable or not agree as much on. I mean, hey, it's just, like, literally my opinion. This is my take. And you know, honestly, great critique video overall. Just what you would expect from the #1 Kurobot anyways. And so, yeah, I guess there's a reason why I don't hold that title anymore. And if you're wondering if I'm serious about the #1 Kurobot claims, guys, look at this video. Why I was wrong about Solon, CEO of Kuro Games. Come on. This is like the Gok 5000. Let's be entirely real here. That's this entire video. That'll be that, ladies and gentlemen. Great job once again from the #1 Kurobot. Great critique vid. And we are, naturally, right, proving that the Wuthering Waves community loves critiques. You can see the dislike ratio of this vid is pretty much non-existent, just as long as your critiques are well-founded and good. And I think that they were awesome in this vid. Let me know what you all think. Peace.